Hey there, I'm Dr. Sarah Mitchell from Helping Babies Sleep. And today I want to talk to you, those of you who have fussy babies, right? There are some kids in the newborn stage who are just really uncomfortable. And I want to give you 4 things that we can look at to figure out why this is happening to you. Okay, so the first one we actually have very little control over, and that is your baby's intestinal flora. So some kids have more sensitive stomachs than others, and they're going to struggle to poop, and you can feel them gurgling, and they're just going to be more uncomfortable than the average kiddo. So what can you do? One, you can do those leg bicycles where you're bringing their knees up to their chest and pushing them in there. And the idea there is to try and get some movement and mobility in their intestine. The other thing you can do is a gentle baby massage of their colon, where you're starting on their low right side by their hip bone and gently just tracking up to their ribs, across, and then down to the other side. Because the left side is where your large intestine goes deep and becomes the rectum. So, doing some trigger work down there can help. So that's the first thing, intestinal flora and just digestive troubles in general. Second thing you want to look at if you're breastfeeding is your latch, right? So if your child's latch isn't perfectly sealed, you can be getting air in. And you might be hearing even a little bit of a clicking noise, and that can signify that the latch is improper. And so basically your baby's swallowing air. And what do air bubbles turn into? The need to burp, or air bubbles, poops, and digestive issues. So that's the second thing. The third thing is, how is your burping technique? You want to work on finesse over force. So there is an old theory out there that, when your baby takes in air, if we don't get those burps out, they travel through the digestional tract and become gas. I don't have any evidence for that. It's a theory. But think about that. Even if we want to, it's something easy that we can work on. So when you're working on burping, are you working on squeezing the bubbles up? So if your baby's on your shoulder, are you squeezing, pushing down, and kind of like in a C, gentle C motion, pushing up? You also want to be having your babies behind up in the air. So your arm might be behind their knees, pushing their knees to their chest, because you do need, when you're burping, you need some counter pressure on their stomach in general. Kids with reflux are harder to burp than the average kiddo. So you might have to move from 3 different positions. You go shoulder, and then sitting on your lap, leaning forward, and then maybe just on you, as in tummy time. Kind of a dangerous one sometimes if there's spit up involved. But working through 3 different positions can help. Okay, so we talked about their digestive tract, we talked about your latch, and then your burping technique. Sometimes we can talk about what are you eating that might be bothering them. If they're formula fed, is it the right formula for them? If you're breastfeeding, some things that I've noticed over time that can irritate kiddos are things that are high in sugar, like chocolate-covered almonds. Chocolate also has caffeine in it. Other caffeine culprits can be things like colas, Diet Coke, caffeine, black tea. Those can all cause your baby to be kind of uncomfortable. I remember one time I drank a Diet Coke at 3 p.m. and she was inconsolable between 2 and 3 in the morning. I was like, what is up with that? And that's what it was. She had silent reflux. So those are the things. Sleep is going to be a struggle because your child's uncomfortable. So they're harder to get to fall asleep, and they often wake up quickly into sleep. Sometimes that's the need to burp, so you're going to try and pick them up and burp them. They are going to be comfortable in a carrier or on you. If you have a kiddo that you can never, ever put down, and they're really seemingly fussy, chances are they are uncomfortable. And you want to go through these things to figure out why that is. Nothing wrong with carrier naps. When you have a newborn, your number one goal is to keep your baby well rested. So if you need to do that in a carrier to help your nighttime sleep of stretch, so be it. So I hope that helps you with some fussy babies. I teach all of this and more in my online class, Helping Newborns Sleep for Babies 0 to 8 weeks. I want you to be able to be on a flexible schedule so you can kind of predict what's going to happen with your day, but not a rigid schedule, because those can tend to set you up to fail, because we can't control our kids. All we can do is try and assess their needs, figure out what's bugging them so that they can be more comfortable. And if you have a fussy baby, the other thing I want you to know is you may have a harder time than your neighbor. And just recognize that. And it's okay. It's nothing that you've been doing. It's just your situation. You're going to be more knowledgeable and stronger for it in the long run. And I always like to say that Mother Nature gives you one that gives you humble, one that keeps you humble, and one that gives you confidence. So think about where you are in that journey. Take care.